Should we talk about that and lots of other things with the government ministers joining us this morning? Hi, it's great to see you. Thanks very much indeed for joining us, Mr O'Brien. Let's talk about schools very quickly. Our school buildings are literally collapsing. What are you going to do about it?
Well, we are investing across the piece in both maintenance and indeed new school buildings, and also driving kind of reforms by getting schools to work together in multi-academy trusts, which allow them to work more efficiently so that we get more for the taxpayers' money. So, as well as the physical investment, we're trying to drive up standards by getting those schools to work together and replacing failing schools with better leadership that can drive up standards over time.
It's not going to help if the buildings are falling down, though, is it?
But of course, we are making major capital investments across the school's estate. We will, of course, respond to any particular issues where there's any kind of issue about safety very, very quickly, just as we have in the past. So, absolutely, we will make sure that every child at school is safe, of course.
OK. You're here to talk about drugs, knife crime today. Apparently, home counties' knife crime is soaring, and drug networks are spreading out from the cities and going into these home counties, county lines, as we hear about. What's the government going to do to try to sort that out?
Well, firstly, I'm not sure that's right. Actually, knife crime's down about 8% in the last year. Neighbourhood crime down about 24%. And what we're going to do about it is today we're announcing another 400
figures. Let me just.
I was giving the national figure.
Yeah.
And so in terms of what we are.
10 times the level that it was a decade ago, knife crime in the home counties.
So you asked the question, what are we doing about this? So one of the things we're doing about it, as well as criminal projects like Project Adder that are about disrupting the county lines that you just mentioned, we're also today investing an extra £400 million over the next 2 years in drug treatment, because we know that getting people into drug treatment dramatically cuts crime, cuts reoffending. And so we're going to invest £400 million, which takes up the total level of funding by about 40%. We'll have a record number of people put into drug treatment. Because, you know, before I was a politician, I used to work with people who were street homeless, and I saw both the misery of their lives, of those people who were crack and cocaine addicts, but also how chaotic they were for society, the disruption they caused, the cost to society of that acquisitive crime. We know that drugs and drug addictions are behind about half of all crime, and that's why by bringing up the number of people into treatment to a record level, by having that huge investment, that will help to stop crime and the causes of crime, really.
What's your view on the drug problem north of the border?
Well, in truth, the worst place in the entire of the UK for drug addictions for a long time has been Scotland, particularly Glasgow. So this is very much something that's happened in Nicola Sturgeon's own backyard now. The policy for this is devolved. Ultimately, it is on the Scottish Government, and I do think that they do need to do things differently there. And so our approach here, south of the border, has been to fight this on all fronts. So firstly, having the 20,000 extra police that we're investing in. We'll have delivered that manifesto commitment to have 20,000 extra police by March, ahead of schedule. In terms of stopping people being released from prison so quickly, so we've ended early release at the halfway point so that people serve longer sentences that they deserve and we have less people coming out and causing more crime. Okay. And then also to get, as I'm saying today, at the causes of crime by investing heavily in treatment so we don't have people causing crime because of drugs.
Yeah, we don't need to go into the fact that, you know, you cut more than 20,000 police officers and you're just going back to what you were previously. Is it Nicola Sturgeon's fault that they have such a big drug problem in Scotland?
I think I would say two things. So on the one hand, this does predate Nicola Sturgeon. It's not entirely her fault, but I do think that the Scottish Government does need to have a different approach and to look at what is going wrong in Scotland. They do have, it's not just in the UK that they have the highest rates, it is really the capital of Europe in terms of some of these problems.
I'm asking you if it's Nicola Sturgeon's fault.
I always think in politics, the constructive thing to say is what should we actually do about it? And I can tell you what we're doing in England, which is a combination of more police, the end of early release, plus investments. And this is just one of them in tackling the causes of crime. We're also doing things like the Safer Streets Fund that help people to make their own neighbourhoods more secure and to tackle some of these problems locally. So we are tackling this on all fronts. And I think rather than just us saying blame, it's your fault, we say what we are doing about it here and what we think they should be doing about it there as well.
She certainly managed to keep Labour out of government, SNP really wiping the floor with Labour at the last election. She's gone, depends who takes over from her. It's another blow to the Tories though, isn't it?
Well, to be honest with you, one of the things that kept Labour out of government in the last election was Jeremy Corbyn and their own policies. Though the person who was trying to make him Prime Minister is now their leader. So there you go. But no, I don't think it was only Nicola Sturgeon that was keeping Labour from being in there. And her going is something that, of course, the Scottish Conservatives and the Conservatives have been campaigning for. It's an opportunity for us to do better in Scotland, because I think it is apparent to people in Scotland now that the SNP are a bit played out. In public services, things are not working. If you look at things like the ferries contract, it's a disaster. Many of the other things that they're doing are going wrong, and there's a reason that why Nicola's gone now. Like, on the one hand, we've always worked respectfully with her, even though we disagree with her. On the other hand, you know, the railroading through of gender self-ID has been divisive, not just in Scottish politics generally, but within her own party. There's been huge divisions over this. Things about the loans, her problems have been mounting for a while, so it's not completely surprising that she's chosen this moment to go. And of course, we will work respectfully with whoever emerges as her successor, because they do currently have a majority in the Scottish Parliament. But we, of course, profoundly disagree with her, and most importantly of all, about independence. And we think that the people in Scotland made a decision, they made the right decision to stay in the UK in a national referendum. That was said to be a once-in-a-generation occasion. That should be how it is, because if you're just constantly campaigning for yet another referendum, that is hugely destabilising for Scotland. It's bad for jobs
I put that to Mr. Flynn,
and for investment in Scotland.
Yeah. I'm sure you have loving, caring women in your life. What do you make of the stuff that we're seeing on the front of the papers today, where the police are giving far too much information about Nicola Bulley and the fact that, you know, she's struggling with the menopause and so she was abusing alcohol? I mean, is that really what we need to read about her?
So it's not for me to second-guess a live police operation or to say what they should be doing or to condemn the way that they are going about their operation. And I'm sure that some other people involved in this would have a different point of view and say, well, we should have, because I heard one of the relatives saying, oh, we should have known about this earlier on, we could have searched differently. In terms of what we can do for people in this situation, that I can talk about, and we do have our women's health strategy. We are investing in making things like HRT much cheaper. We're bringing in a prepayment certificate for that to cut the cost of HRT and things like that. So in the bits that we are responsible for in terms of women's health, we are a human level. It's not for me to...
You wouldn't want that sort of stuff about your loved ones being on the front page of the papers.
Yeah, and the other thing I probably wouldn't want is some minister in the government who is not close to the investigation starting to opining on who should be doing their jobs how in different ways. I mean respectfully, it would be wrong for me to stick my oar in about how the police are doing the job on this, or you know, who should have known what and when. I think at the moment there is a live search in a really a really difficult situation there at the moment. And I hope.
I know if it was one of my loved ones, I wouldn't want all that stuff on the front page.
That's perfectly reasonable point of view, but it's not for me to start saying that the police are doing the wrong thing by talking about the situation. I can only hope for the best resolution in this, and we can talk about the things that we can do as a government. But at the moment, there is this search going on still, and I don't think it would be right for me to start to radio kind of stuff.
First time you've been here in the studio with me. It's great to see you.
It's a real pleasure. And really, thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. We look forward to seeing you again very soon. Thanks a lot, Minister. Thank you.